student, but the dates were not out. So you could chill a bit, because it will take some time. But when it comes down to election, we knew the elections are around the corner, but the dates are not out. Well, the dates are out exactly an hour ago, and in 33 days, the first vote will be cast. It will be a battle of narratives where it comes down to the India Alliance versus the NDA. Till now, whether one likes it, not likes it, the perceptional narrative is that the BJP, will it cross 370? Will the NDA reach 400? Will the Congress actually cross 50? Not quite about who is going to win this election. Does the India Alliance have a strategy, a narrative? I want to invite on stage former Chief Minister, Jammu and Kashmir, Omar Abdullah, former Deputy Chief Minister, Rajasthan, Sachin, Delhi Cabinet Minister, Atishi. So the Aam Aadmi Party, the NC and the Congress, all part of the India Alliance. There seems to be a bit of an ambiguity where the NC is concerned. Is it still part of the India Alliance, not part of the India Alliance? We're going to take that question right on top. Mr. Abdullah, are you a part of the India Alliance still? Because your father says you're going to do it alone. You say that you don't want to go with the Muftis or the PDP, but you want to go with the Congress, but there's ambiguity there.
No, there's absolutely no ambiguity. We've made it very clear that we are a part of the India Alliance, and our seat-sharing talks with the Congress have more or less concluded. We've made it very clear that the 3 seats that are already with the India Alliance, which are the seats from the Kashmir Valley, those will be contested by the National Conference, and the other 3 seats in erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir, I'm including Ladakh and Kargil in that as well, those will be contested by the Congress in consultation with, particularly for the Kargil-Ladakh seat, in consultation with other groups there.
But the PDP is now not a part of the India Alliance.
No, that's a question for the Congress. I'm not answerable for the PDP, and I'm not answerable for the wider India Alliance. I'm answerable for my relationship with the India Alliance, not the PDP's relationship.
So you have no relationship with the PDP?
With?
The PDP.
Look, you're talking about the India Alliance right now.
Okay, fine, all right. So that's for the Congress. But Mr. Abdullah, to ask you, the election dates were announced, a tad bit disappointed that Jammu and Kashmir dates were not out today?
Well, I'm a bit disappointed, but not surprised, because all this hawa that's been created about one nation, one election, clearly the Election Commission, the J&K government, and to that extent, the government of India, is unable to put its money where its mouth is. I mean, this was an ideal time to actually roll out the process of one nation, one election. Now, if you can't have one nation, I mean, you can't have Jammu and Kashmir polls at the same time as the rest of the country now, how are you promising it for 2029? This was a test case, and clearly in this test case, they failed. We were very hopeful. Look, we haven't had an assembly election in Jammu and Kashmir since 2014. So you're going on 10 years now. 10 years is a long time to not have elections in Jammu and Kashmir, especially at a time when the government of India is busy telling the whole world that everything is so much better. If it is so much better, then the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Let's have those elections and let's see how much better things are.
Mr. Pilot, 33 days before the first vote is cast, the first phase of election, 19th of April. Unfortunately, for the India Alliance, which your party is a huge part of, the conversation is not who will be the Prime Minister, will be the leader of opposition, whether you'll even cross that 54 mark of the 10%, where 5... Why are you smiling, Mr. Abdullah? Okay. It's actually, isn't it?
Unfortunately, that's a statement that has come from you. I have never heard that. We don't think like that. And Preeti, just so that you know, we are fighting this election to win. Whether we win or not, that is dependent on the people of this country. And it's best that that judgment remains on hold till June 4th, number one. Number two, India Alliance as a partnership came to the front because of circumstances that this country witnessed for the last 9 years. In the last 9 years, the governance, the report card of the government, the data, the issues that matter to the people should be at the centerpiece of our conversation and our narratives. Unfortunately, what has happened in the last 9 years has been a constant, systematic attack on the well-established constitutional entities in the country for the last 70 years. So various different parties, and I'm sure the next question will be, TMC nahi aayi, wo party nahi aayi, Fair enough, but the attempt was to get all opposition together so that we can have a formidable and surmountable challenge to the NDA and defeat them at the poll hustings. India alliance, except one or two parties, about 24 parties strong. And don't forget, in 2019, the BJP got 37% plus minus. That means 2/3 of the voters who went to the polling booth voted against the BJP. That means it's not what it seems like, 300 par, 400 par, 500 par. The people of India, 2/3 of them did not vote for the BJP. So our attempt was to assimilate all different political parties, despite having differences, and we still do. But the attempt was to collate a coalition called India, get everyone together. And you were questioning about Jammu Kashmir, ek seat, do seat. What is important is the opposition coming together? Yes. Are we fighting to say in 10 years' time, we want a better country with better numbers in everywhere, job creation, inflation, price rise, disparity between rich and poor? All those issues matter to us. So the Congress is fighting, despite, let me tell you, we are also giving up a lot of our seats in many states. And it's very tough for a political party to yield political space. But the larger interest of the country is to have a united opposition. And who will become what, time will tell and people will tell. So let's wait for the elections to finish and we'll speak after that.
No, but Mr. Pilot, no, my question's not whether TMC aayi, nahi aayi. And
you really are going to ask me that?
No, I'll come back to the question I'm asking you. The question is, I'll tell you why. It's not a figment of the media's imagination when they ask you this question. It's not built up just by us. And I'll give you the reason why. You say, like you just said right now, that the Constitution is at stake. You say democracy is at stake. You say this is the most important election that has to be fought this time around in 2024. You say it's that important. But it's strangely not important enough for the top leadership of the Congress to take to the field where Lok Sabha is concerned, where you want your voters to fight it out, but you're not getting into the battlefield. How do you expect the voter to buy into an idea that you yourself are not buying, Mr. Pilot?
So, Preeti, first of all, I did not get so melodramatic. I didn't use those words that you did. I was saying that we feel the systems have been challenged and need to have a counterbalance. In a democracy, an opposition is almost as important as the government. So as an opposition, we are within our rights to ask questions, to ask for transparency, ask for debate, discussions. Should we not ask question why 147 MPs were suspended in a single day and bills were passed? Should we not ask why Supreme Court has ruled against so many things, like the electoral bonds, for example? Should we not ask what happened in Chandigarh when the Supreme Court had to intervene? These are important things and we must nip them at the bud. Who's going to do that? Unfortunately, it's not going to be the media. It has to be the opposition. So please, when you ask me what we are doing, I am committed to what I'm saying. So is my party. And just for the record, so is India Alliance. We will fight and we will win. Our strategy, who will contest, who will fight, how many seats, that's up to us and we'll take a call on that.
No, you're willing to, you should actually ask all those questions, but this session has exactly to do with me asking questions on what's right or wrong with the India Alliance, whether you have your narrative right, whether you have your strategy right. Therefore, the biggest question that your voter, the number that you entailed earlier, is asking you that why aren't you fighting? And I want to come down to you, Atish, and I'll give you an analogy which my colleague Rajdeep uses very often where cricket is concerned. This is the most important match. You're fighting the World Cup final. You have India versus Pakistan. Would you get your benchers who've been warming the benches to fight it out? Or will the opening act be a Sachin Pilot, Ashok Gehlot, Atishi, Arvind Kejriwal, Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi? You've chosen not to do so.
So I think, Preeti, first of all, every party and every alliance is bound to have its own strategy. So what is our strategy for selecting our candidates is not something that is going to be discussed in the India Today conclave. But yes, we have all chosen our candidates to win the seats that we are fighting, because it is a do-or-die battle for us. And I don't think it's a do-or-die battle just for us in terms of the parties who are represented here or the people who are sitting here. I think that this election is a do-or-die battle for this country. It's a do-or-die battle for the constitution of this country. And I think that is really what is at stake in this 2024 elections, and I cannot underline it more. You look at every democratic institution in this country. One by one, they are all being eroded. I mean, till a few days back, we used to talk about the Central Election Commission being eroded. We used to talk about Income Tax Department, CBI, ED. Today, with this entire electoral bonds matter, you now see that the biggest nationalized bank of this country, the State Bank of India, has just become another arm of the BJP. You now see the fact that the CBI and ED are not just putting the opposition party leaders into jail, But they have become like, we used to see those Bollywood movies, कि बॉम्बे का एक डॉन होता था, वो अपने 2 गुंडों को भेजता था, वो मार पिटाई करते थे. उसके बाद कोई आके कहता था कि जी अगर मार पिटाई नहीं चाहते हो तो प्रोटेक्शन मनी हमें दे दो, हफ्ता हमें दे देना. This is exactly what is happening in our country. You send CBI and ED after the biggest businesses of the country, and as soon as they get raided by IT department, by CBI, by ED, within 1 week they are buying hundreds of crores of electoral bonds. So the fact is that today, ED and CBI have become like those गली के गुंडे जो जाके मार पिटाई करते हैं, जिसके बाद बीजेपी की सरकार हफ्ता मांगती है जो इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड से दिया गया है. That is the state of the constitution of our country. That is the state of the democracy of this country. And I think it is important that all of us understand that this is the battle that we are all fighting.
But I'll circle back to the question, and I'm sorry because I'm going to ask you that again before I move on. If it is a do or die battle, then why is it that the India Alliance's top leadership is not willing to do or die? Why isn't it so big for you to actually put your name on that ticket? Why isn't an Atashi fighting? You fought the last time in 2019. Are you fighting this time, Atashi?
No, but what makes you think that we haven't put our best foot forward? Every party, I can definitely speak for my own party, is that when we choose candidates, there are multiple considerations at stake, right? So you are going to choose, as per that particular parliamentary constituency, who is your most winnable candidate. Now, that most winnable candidate may not necessarily be the person that you see on India Today Conclave. It can be very many other people who are leaders of our party whom you might not know of. I think that we have put forward very strong candidates in Delhi, and I am very hopeful that at least the 4 candidates that we have fielded in Delhi are going to be winners. Even in Punjab, we have fielded 5 of our sitting cabinet ministers. Now, is that not heavyweight enough for you?
No, it's not that. All I'm just saying is if there was an Arvind Kejriwal fighting from New Delhi, it would be different, but fine, I get what you're saying. But, Sachin, I want to get you back into this conversation, Mr. Pilot, and that comes from, when you're just talking. I'm not trying to pin the India Alliance down, but we're talking about the narrative and of the India Alliance, and if there is a cohesive strategy or not. Do you sense that there's been a lack of urgency? Because I'll give you an example. 267 seats have been announced of the BJP. You're less than 100 right now. Of course, you're not fighting as many seats as the BJP, so that is debatable. But in terms of, getting your act together, because till November, the India Alliance looked promising. It was coming together, it was cohesive, you had these multiple committees, none of those committees have met. And, see where you are today. Do you at least accept that there was a lack of urgency in getting things together?
I fail to understand, Preeti, please explain this to me. The race of who will announce the candidates first, that becomes a parameter for you to judge the urgency. Elections are announced today, and we all know when the nominations are going to be filed. We are fighting on every state with some alliances. It takes time to negotiate. As far as the narrative is concerned, I think the narrative is already set. We didn't have to set it. The narrative is the government of the day, which has been there for 10 years, without any coalition pressure, what they had promised to the people of India of doubling the farmers' income, of giving 2 crore jobs a year, of reducing poverty, reducing inflation. Have they checked all those boxes? Have they delivered what they themselves committed to? That is the narrative. The narrative is in today's India, just casting a vote and having elected a government, that's not democracy. Democracy is that every institution must be credible, transparent, and should have the faith of the people. Democracy is when you have a healthy debate, when the parliament functions, when there is a level playing field for all political parties involved, when stakeholders can say something. So that is a narrative. It's not about Congress winning, losing, India Alliance winning, losing. Today in India, these elections are important because the people of India want to see a credible roadmap as an alternative. And we are the ones providing that. And might I just say, India Alliance has many partners in its fold, right? We are still talking, figuring out names, and we'll do it very soon. But pan-India, the Congress remains the only political party that can actually give a formidable challenge to the BJP nationally. Every state has leaders and parties which are very important for us, equal partners, no big and small. But nationally, it is the Congress that can actually, across the length and breadth of India, take on the BJP and defeat them. We've done it before, we'll do it again.
Is there at least acceptance? Because both Mr. Abdullah and Atashi sitting right next to you, through the course of those 4-5 months when you were fighting those elections in Madhya Pradesh, in Rajasthan, there was a sense that you could have, at that point of time, you were buying time. If you would have started working at that point of time and building your alliance, bolstering your narrative, things would have been different. You wanted to wait out that result and then take on from there.
It's not easy, Preeti, to fight a state election with a party and then come and talk to them about negotiating seats. It's very difficult for political parties, but we see the larger objective. We see our interest today in the state is important, but the national interest is much larger. And like Omar was saying, whether it's we fight 1 seat less, you fight 2 seats more, in the end of the day, these are details. End of the day, when you look back. On 4th of June, we want the India Alliance and all like-minded parties to get a majority. Now, I may fight 2 seats, 4 seats, less or more. That's not important. Of course, in negotiations, we always go to the brink. But ultimately, the objective is to field one-to-one candidates against the BJP and NDA. And we are really almost there in our target in terms of achieving that in most states.
You know, Mr. Abdullah, many times, you know, with that one odd soundbite to television channels, one can sense a possible disillusionment and a frustration with the India Alliance. I'll take you back, you know, to last year in January. There was this one picture, and that would go against, because if there is something that the India Alliance has to say, it is carried. This, you know, if you can just turn back, was the cover page of most Mr. Abdullah newspapers the next day. You know, that has you, that has Ms. Mufti, that has Priyanka, that has Rahul Gandhi, of course, Mr. Kharge, right? So this picture, exactly a year ago in Kashmir, you were there, gave out a sense of potential, possible hope, and this was a year back, that it was all coming together, you know, in parts and pieces, and the entire game plan and the narrative was being formed. Is there disillusionment, a sense of cynicism?
Where? Amongst?
Of maybe, you know, the Congress going too slow, dragging its feet, could have done better, so many committees, not one has met?
No, I don't think the Congress is to blame for everything that has gone wrong with the India Alliance. And let's face it, there have been hiccups along the way. The recent state elections, the lack of clarity as to whether the India Alliance would fight those elections together or not, that hurt us. In the India Alliance meetings before those elections, all the parties that belong to those states, they all wanted some clarity as to whether we would fight together or not. The ultimate decision was that we wouldn't fight together, and as Sachin rightly pointed out, that was a bit of a problem, because having fought elections against each other just a few months ago, to get sort of seat sharing sorted out now takes a little bit of time. But otherwise, other than Nitish Kumarji leaving, I think the India Alliance, contrary to a lot of other expectations, has done reasonably well. Now, as far as this photograph you're showing, what has changed in this photograph? I haven't seen anybody who's in this photograph announce that they've left the India Alliance.
The photograph has changed, Mr. Abdullah. Maybe at that point of time, you know, it's the T-shirt. But you're trying a bit hard
yes,
where the white T-shirt is concerned.
And Rahul's beard is longer. I had a bit more hair under my hat. But other than that, if you just look at the constituents of the India Alliance there, none of them have disassociated themselves from the India Alliance.
No, I'll tell you.
We have sort of, I'd like to believe we have more or less successfully concluded a seat-sharing talk with the Congress. So I mean, where is the disillusionment? Where is the problem?
You know, as a pull in Atashi, I'll tell you where it's coming from. Because right after that picture, where both of you were walking in that white T-shirt, well, you know, interesting choice because you matched it with Rahul. I interviewed you, if you remember. And at that point of time, in that interview, you gave me a timeline. And you said, if by November we don't figure it out, we are in trouble. It's...
Yes, and as I said, then we did hit a roadblock. We hit a roadblock with the state elections. I was one of those who in the meeting said that, look, we need clarity. We need to understand whether we're fighting assembly together or is the India Alliance only for parliament. So I'm quite sort of clear in this that not fighting the assembly elections together didn't do us any favors. I mean, if you look at the numbers, Sachin will know Rajasthan much better than I do. But when you start compiling the vote share and you join the smaller parties that fought against the Congress and put that together, suddenly you find that the Congress with all those people would have actually been in a position to form the government rather than the BJP. So no, there are lessons to be learned. But as far as this parliament election that's coming up, look, I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect a seat sharing arrangement in UP. I did not think the Congress and the Samajwadi Party would be able to come together in UP, but they seem to have. Truth be told, I did not expect the Aam Aadmi Party to give up seats in Delhi. I really didn't. We always felt that, I mean, internally when we talked, that if the India Alliance had a problem, it would have it in West Bengal, it would have it in Delhi. We still have one in West Bengal, but fortunately we don't have one in Delhi at the moment.
Well, true, but you know, there has to be some amount of acceptance, Atishi, because through the last 6 months, every time we had Mr. Kejriwal speak after one of those meetings in Patna, where he'd say, slow hai, thoda jaldi karne ka hai, thoda slow chal raha hai. There was a sense of frustration.
No, I think there's no denying that. There's no denying both the facts. First of all, the fact that India Alliance came together and has stayed together, that in itself, I think, is an important achievement. It's an important achievement because you have all of these political parties who have contested elections against each other, not just in one state, but in multiple states. Why are we coming together? We are coming together because we believe that there's a larger crisis in this country, a larger battle for the constitution of this country. But that does not make it very easy to set aside the differences and the past relationships that these parties might have had. So the fact that the India Alliance has come together and stayed together, apart from Nitish Kumarji leaving, I think is a positive. But yes, there's no denying the fact that it has been slow. Yeah. And I think it could have been faster, and I do believe that if it had been faster, the alliance would have been in a better position today. But there's a saying in Hindi which says, "Der aaye durust aaye."
But you know, I'll bring in Mr. Pilot there, because yesterday we had this whole psephology session and we had some of the top psephologists of the country on one stage. And I'm not trying to pin you down, Mr. Pilot, or the Congress, but the general opinion of most of the psephologists was that Congress has been the weakest link. Not just in terms of how they treat their allies, but also possibly how they treat their own. And allow me, and humor us, if pictures could speak 1,000 words, we're going to just put the picture. Right, wait out. It's coming. We're going to put a picture out. And then there was one. Each one of the men in this picture, has left the party. And the general perception is that the party did not give them the opportunity that they deserved, the ear that they needed, or the call that they needed at that point of time.
So what's the question?
The question is, why haven't you left A? Or is it in the offing?
So I knew that at some point, Preeti has very, very consciously done that ever since we started talking to each other on record. But again, for the nth time, let me tell you, Preeti, anyone who makes a choice to change ideology or change their political track, is there an independent individual decision? Whether the compulsions are there, whether there is pressure, whether there is allurement, I'm not to say. That's their own choice. But whoever leaves and does something else, some other party, whether that decision is right or wrong, the final judgment will be time and voters. They will be the final people who will say whether aapne theek kiya, galat kiya. As far as we are concerned in the Congress party, if you think that the BJP is so confident of getting 350, 70, 80, whatever, then why are they picking on every opposition leader? They're trying to pick every party. Every leader, they're trying to get themselves. If they were so confident, why would they want, all the Congress leaders? अगर आप इतने ताकतवर हो, इतने मजबूत हो, इतने आप confident हो, तो हमारे को क्यों लेके जा रहे हो? और हम इतने बुरे हैं, तो हमारे पास छोड़ दो. If they dynasty, nepotism, Congress ये, तो why are you taking them then? आज भी राजस्थान में 15-20 लोगों को ने join किया, कोई प्रधान है, कोई सरपंच है, कोई ex-MLA है, and you never ask me, you asking me who's left, ex-MLA, ex-minister, ex-MP. जो दो सिटिंग लोकसभा के एमपी बीजेपी के कांग्रेस में आए उसके बारे में नहीं पूछ रहे हैं आप हरियाणा में आया है राजस्थान में आया है it works both ways Preeti if you are saying to me that Congress men are leaving join BJP 2 sitting Lok Sabha MPs have joined the Congress party
but pilots
what does that say to you
no I'm not trying to pin you down अब सेशन ही है कि नैरेटिव और स्ट्रेटजी इंडिया अलायंस
मैं आपको बता रहा हूं हमारी पार्टी में कुछ है तभी तो लोग ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं ना सिटिंग एमपी लोकसभा के अच्छा अगर इतना मैजिक चल रहा है तो सिटिंग लोकसभा के चुनाव 1 हफ्ते बाद 2 महीने बाद है Sitting Lok Sabha के एमपी क्यों छोड़ के कांग्रेस में आ रहे हैं?
But one quick question. All of these that you see in the picture, इन पे तो there's no ED case, ना कोई CBI है. So somewhere down the line, do you at least accept the parties let them down? They could have stayed in the fold.
Yeah, everyone has their own story. Please ask each of them when you meet them next time what their story was. We were colleagues, we still are, but different parties. Whether their decision is right or wrong, people will decide. Na vote ab padne wale ek hafte baad chunav ho jayega. So people will say. So each one makes their decision regarding to their lives and what path they want to follow. It's not for me to comment on what they did. Obviously, when anyone leaves the party, a small worker, block president, district president, we feel sad. The party chhod ke ja rahe hain. But theek hai, it's their decision. But to say that only people are leaving the Congress and not joining the party, there are many people in Telangana and Karnataka, Rajasthan, Haryana. And listen, one more thing, Preeti, I mean, not trying to pin you down either, but what goes up must come down. And cycle of time and the wheel will turn. So one has to stay on and fight the good fight to make sure when the clock turns, you're there with full strength.
Is Mr. Pilot fighting the good fight in the Lok Sabha this time?
Whatever my party decides for me, I've done that and I'll do it in the future also.
All right. You know, the other issue, where it comes down to the narrative and the strategy, where there seems to be a problem is that it's an inorganic alliance. That it's for survival, possibly not stability. It's anti-Modi, not pro-voter. That's the perception. And why I say that is on major key issues. Let's talk about, Mr. Abdullah, let's talk about 370. The three parties that are sitting on stage, each of these political parties has a very different stand on 370. You have the Aam Aadmi Party, which outrightly supported the Modi government. We have you who've called it unconstitutional. The Congress till date has been completely ambiguous on what their stand is where 370 is concerned. So do you, somewhere down the line, there is credence to the question that this is an inorganic alliance? It's for survival, not stability.
Look, if anything, I think that's the beauty of the alliance, that on some issues we agree to disagree, but it hasn't pulled us apart. Yes, it's a fact. I disagree with the position that the Aam Aadmi Party took on the 5th August of 2019. Yes, I feel the Congress could have done more to protect its own. I mean, 370 was the inheritance that the Congress gave the people of Jammu and Kashmir. So, yes, there are issues on which we disagree. But I think in terms of the broader issues, the need, as Atishi rightly pointed out, to protect the Constitution, to protect democracy, to protect the idea of India, to protect the secular ethos of India, that is the India that we were born into, that is the idea of India that we came to understand. Now, these are all ideas that we are solidly behind.
Okay.
The fact that the economy needs to do better, the fact that rural distress is a reality even though it goes unreported, the fact that there are a number of educated youngsters who find it difficult to get jobs, all these are real factors that need to be addressed. I think the one mistake that we make from time to time that we need to address, and it was part of your question, this whole thing that we are seen to be anti-Modi. I think that's a mistake, because every time we boomerangs on us, it does not work. And I'm telling you from experience, it does not work.
So you think Parivarwad was a blunder? Parivarwad was a blunder?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Chaukidar Chor hai doesn't work. Adani Ambani doesn't work. It doesn't work. Let's accept it. I think the message that we have to take to the people is not that the Prime Minister has done something, because, I mean, for whatever reason, the man seems to be coated in Teflon. Nothing that you say sticks. I mean, it's a fact. Like it or not, it's a fact.
No, I'll come back to that
So,
question.
but who can deny that the BJP has got richer? You cannot make a case that the Prime Minister has, because there's no evidence to support that he has. But there is every evidence to support that while the rest of India, or a large part of India, has got poorer, the BJP has got a damn sight richer. I mean, almost 50% of the electoral bonds went to them. So, I mean, these are sort of campaign strategies that we need to utilize.
The BJP is only way glad that we limit it to Modi, Teflon coated. There are many layers to it. We'll come back to that. But I want to pull in Atishi into this conversation where we talk about why it's an inorganic alliance. Like we spoke of how there are three different takes where it comes down to 370. But Atishi, to get you in on this, how is it going to work? Atishi is going to campaign in Chandni Chowk and ask for hamare neta Congress wale inko vote do. Abhi tak pata nahi kaun hai. Then Atishi is going to be standing in Amritsar and say, Congress ko vote nahi dena hai. Humko vote dena hai. The voters confused कि दिल्ली में कांग्रेस को वोट देना है, आम आदमी पार्टी कह रही है पंजाब में नहीं देना है. So there is a bit of,
Preeti, let me assure you about one thing. If there is one thing the Indian voter is not, it is confused. The Indian voter knows their mind. They know where to vote, whom to vote for, what their candidate stands for, what their party stands for. So I think the Indian voter, you cannot confuse them. There is a lot of clarity that the Indian voter has, and they vote with their minds, and they give their verdict very clearly. If you're asking that why is it that we have not allied in Punjab but we have allied in Delhi, I think that it's very clear that every alliance has its own dynamics. In Punjab specifically, neither the Congress party nor the Aam Aadmi party leadership in the state was ready for an alliance. So I think that that is something that we as a political party have to respect. Having said that, of course, we have contested elections against the Congress. Aam Aadmi party was formed in a battle against the Congress. Right?
You've earned your spurs at the back of taking them from Mr. Pilot's party.
No, so in fact, we were formed as a party. Our first major electoral battle in Delhi in 2013 was against the Congress party. But the fact of the matter today is that there are bigger dangers to the country that we see today. And that is the reason why it is important that this alliance comes together. I may have my differences with one party, I may have my differences with the second party, but as I said, we all want to protect the constitution of this country. And it is no small thing. Today, on WhatsApp, you would have a lot of messages circulating, and you look at why I say that the democracy is in danger. There's enough number of people who will tell you that if BJP comes back to power, there's never going to be any elections in Delhi ever again, for example. If BJP comes back to power, there's going to be no other political party. So this is the fact that this is already circulating in this WhatsApp university is an indicator of the directions that the ruling party of this country is thinking of. The fact is that now, there was a time when you would have rigging of elections. I remember when we were kids, we'd hear कि अच्छा बिहार में कोई polling booth के अंदर घुस गया, उसने बहुत सारे ठप्पे मार दिए, ballot लेके भाग गया. But tell me, what is it if it's not rigging of elections? If you put all your opposition party leaders in jail, what is it if it's not rigging of elections if you freeze the bank account of your major opposition party a few weeks before the election is announced? What is it if it's not election rigging if you're using CBI and ED to make sure that no other political party gets funding and you get all the electoral funding there is?
I'm running out of time. I'm also part MC, so I understand we have 2 minutes now.
You were saying, Atishi, how will she ask for votes for Congress? How will the BJP ask vote for Nitish Kumar when they go to Bihar? And that's fourth. Our first alliance hai. Unke to 4 alliance toot chuke hai na. How will ask for Ajit Pawar? How will ask votes for him?
What I'm going to do is I'll allow you, the 3 of you, 1 minute each, because we've tried to tear apart on whether the India Alliance has a narrative or the lack of it. But what is the alternative that you offer? Because you say this is wrong with the Modi government, right? This is wrong with the BJP. What's the alternate that you offer? Because at least if you look at the messaging, you have a face in place with the Prime Minister, number one. You have messaging in terms of Viksit Bharat, where he's talking about not just now, but what's going to happen in 2047. You have Hindutva to go with it. Somewhere down the line, neither do you have a face, and the messaging is a bit mixed up right now. So 1 minute, what's the alternate vision?
I talk about my party. I think the messaging is very clear. Messaging is that this country deserves an elected government that respects the opposition, that encourages debate and discussion, that does not use agencies at its whims and fancies. India deserves a government where we have promised that we will actually have a legal law for MSP. We are a party that is opening ourselves for transparent discussions. We want to open liberal campuses mein charchaएं ho, log baat kar sakein. We want all of that, and we're saying it. There is a better, credible alternative to what we have today.
Will the India Alliance touch 100? Well, the Congress, sorry. Will the Congress touch 100 this time?
We are looking at
you have a
272 plus.
Amit Shah was here last night. He said, what?
He can say whatever. I'm saying India Alliance, 272 plus.
272 plus. Okay. We're forming government then, as per you. Okay. If I'll get you in, Mr. Abdullah, first. In terms of messaging, let's talk about the CAA. If you are, because you have a very strong position on the CAA, you call it divisive in the valley, but your ally will be fighting it out in Jammu. So what's the alternate that they should fight on, where you are not?
How is protecting the Constitution appeasement? The Constitution asks you to treat all as equal, that you should not distinguish on the basis of caste, creed, or religion. Does the CAA not distinguish on the basis of religion? Forget Muslims. There is no place for Jews. There is no place for Baha'is. There are entire communities that are left out. Now, if your Constitution asks you to treat all as equal, the CAA certainly doesn't. So I don't understand how being against the CAA is being divisive. In fact, if anything, being against the CAA means you want to unite everybody.
Do you have a number? 272?
I'm a very small politician belonging to a very small part of Jammu and Kashmir, which thanks to this government has become even smaller after the 5th August 2019. I know only 5 seats. And in those 5 seats, the majority will come to the India Alliance.
You have no confidence in your ally who's sitting right next
No,
to
I have
you
all
saying
confidence.
272?
I have all confidence in them. Otherwise, I wouldn't be part of the India Alliance. I just don't know enough about the rest of the country to stick my neck out in front of such a wide audience. I'll confine myself to what I know about.
Atishi, the alternate vision. Don't say what's wrong with the Modi government. What is it that you have to offer and your number, and we're going to close it then.
I think I have a one-line vision for this election, that let this election not be the last election that we are having in this country. That is what we are fighting for in this 2024 elections.
And you have...
Aadmi Party is contesting 20 odd. I think it's a bit arrogant of us to talk about a number across the country.
अपनी party सोच रहे हैं आप ही बात कर रहे हो alliance की.
I can say,
party,
but Preeti, I can
mind
say
you,
that
and you were
Aam
talking
Aadmi
about
Party,
Atishi's party came out of opposition to the Congress party, but can I proudly say that almost all political parties have come out of the Congress party. So by opposing us in one election doesn't mean we cannot hold hands for the next future elections.
Well, the truth is they have to pull their weight. The fact is that most of our sort of expectations are from the Congress party.
You do know that's
because there are what, just under 300 seats.
Mr. Abdullah, that's the money shot of this, if I could say.
There are almost 300 seats in which is a direct contest between the Congress and the BJP. In the last election, the Congress's strike rate was under 10%.
Exactly.
That strike rate needs to go up. So yes,
You've got to pull your weight.
272 is definitely realistic.
I'm not saying it, your ally is saying it.
We've all said we will deliver the majority of our seats, and we hope the Congress will do the same, and we are then past the
Don't forget
halfway mark.
2004, India shining. No one expected Vajpayee ji to lose, but people of India are smart. They will vote with full wisdom, and I have confidence that we'll get the majority required.
Well, we don't know if it's a Modi shining moment yet, but we're going to leave it at that. But when it comes down to preparation for an election, 2 years back, the BJP is focusing on 167 seats. All of those are weak seats, not strong seats. Each of the cabinet ministers responsible for 3 of those weak seats. So, padhai to kari hai. Let's see how the exam goes. And let's hope that the India Alliance also gets its act together. I'm not saying your ally said it right there. But I do wish you well. May the best man win. And lots of luck to the India Alliance going ahead. Thank you so much, all 3 of you, for joining us. Thank you for taking the questions. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Can I request Sandeep Gupta of the Motwani Jadeja Foundation to please come up on stage and hand over a token of our appreciation to Atishi, Omar Abdullah and Sachin Pilot, please. A big round of applause for our political panelists here, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for being so sporting, all 3 of you.